What is up, you guys? Today we are officially only 5 days away from the start of the college football season, and in honor of that, I will be giving you my 2023 rankings for quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, offensive lines, and defenses going into this new season. And we will start at quarterback. Number one is obvious, best player in college football, best player in the country, Caleb Williams for USC. I mean, he's just what a great talent. He has a lot of talent, and not much to say. I mean, he's just a great player, surrounded by great teams, surrounded by great guys and everything. For that matter, coaches, everything. So yeah, he's number one Heisman winner as well. So number one for him. Number two is Drake May. And I had a little bit of trouble putting him at 2, just because I don't think. Look, I think Washington, LSU, and Tennessee, the next 3 guys, will all be better than UNC this year. But I don't think it's the quarterback with UNC. Their defense is horrible. They have good wideouts, so the offense will be fine. I'm not worried about the UNC offense. The UNC defense it's not very great, so that'll be the issue for them. Number 3, Michael Penix. He's got a great target in Rome Odunze. They should be good this year, Washington. Sleeper team to make the college football playoffs. He's a sleeper guy also to win the Heisman. Michael Penix is. Yeah, there we go. Next up, Jaden Daniels for LSU. Great dual threat. You know what I'm saying. He can throw the ball. He can run. He had a little injury problem in the last few games of the regular season, and then the bowl, SEC in the bowl, he had an ankle injury. So hopefully he can stay healthy this year. I mean, he played through it. He went out once the SEC championship was in hand. Like when Georgia was up by like 20, he goes out of the game. They put in the backup. The backup played fine actually. He didn't play that bad. He played good, I'd say. But yeah, as long as he can stay healthy, he'll probably be on the Heisman stage. And number 5, I got Joe Milton. Everybody, all they say is, "Oh, this guy, he could throw the ball 90 yards." When are you going to ever throw the ball 90 yards in a college football game? Unless it's a Hail Mary on the last play. He can't. He's very inaccurate when it comes to the short game. That's a big knock on his game, Joe Milton. But I think he'll get it done this year. He'll do a great job replacing Hendon Hooker. Number 6, we have KJ Jefferson. Arkansas crybaby. We're just going to have a huge, big problem with that one. But you know what, dude? This is like his 20th year playing college football. Yes, I know. Stetson Bennett played for like 80 years, so I never would have put him on this ranking last year. Going into last year, I never would have put him in my top 7. But KJ Jefferson, he's not that special. He's kind of a lot of things that he does. It's just average. Like, he's average. He's an average thrower. He can run the ball very well, very effective runner. But he's just, when it comes to running, I mean, I know the quarterback's job is to throw. But in this day and age in football, you got to be able to run too if you're the quarterback, and his running is just average in my opinion. So, yeah. And then last we have Bo Picks. This dude doesn't know how to throw the football very well. He always throws INTs. He can't protect the football. Couldn't do it at Auburn. I don't know what makes him think he can hack it at Oregon, because he can't, but whatever. It's Bo Nix. Whatever, dude. Just not that guy. And notice here also, there's not going to be a single freshman on any of these lists. Well, the O-line and defense, there's freshmen on those. But on these wide receiver, tight ends, quarterbacks, running backs, no freshmen. Because I really don't like when people do that. They put guys based on their recruiting from high school, and can't really do that because also they're not playing college. The speed between high school and college is like so much different. So yeah, no freshman. There was a sophomore though, Nick Singleton. Won a few. Number one running backs. Let's get into it. We got Quinshon Judkins for Ole Miss. Pretty sure everyone's number one. Ole Miss should be pretty good this year. I think they might give Georgia some troubles. Ole Miss and Tennessee. I think Georgia will actually lose to Tennessee this year. But yeah, the stats might not show him. He doesn't get a lot. He doesn't get as much touches as I would give him. But he's still a great running back, great talent. So yeah. Next, Blake Corum, also self-explanatory. Great back. Gets a lot of touches at Michigan, you know. And I could see any of these top three, Corum, Allen, or Judkins, at the Heisman final stage. Not all of them, just one, but either one, three of them could make it. Number 3, Braylon Allen. He had a great year last year at Wisconsin. And I think we'll see a lot more of the same. And I think I got Wisconsin going 11-1 on the year this year. So, with one loss being to Ohio State. But yeah, that should be a good year for Wisconsin and Braylon. Next up, we have Kavarian Barnes from UTSA, and I mean, he doesn't play the best teams. I'm gonna be honest. He's not going out and he's not going to play Alabama and Georgia and LSU all in 1 year like Mr. Judkins will, or Ohio State and Penn State in the same year like Mr. Corum, Ohio State like Mr. Braylon Allen. And I think he has a lot of talent, so he has to be on this list. He might not play for a Power 5 team, but he's still on this list. I think he might be the only non-Power 5 on any of. He might be the only one. But yeah. Next up, we have Trayvon Henderson. I don't remember if it was him or Williams who had like an illness before the Georgia game, but one of them had an illness. I think it might have been Mayan Williams, but I would have put him ahead of Barnes, but he's not going to get as many touches, especially because they're going to throw the ball to Marvin Harrison. That's what they should do. They don't do that enough, by the way. They need to throw him the ball. One of the best players in the country, Marvin Harrison. So they need to get him the ball, and that's why I got Henderson at 5, because he's not going to get as many touches. Next year at 6, we got Nick Singleton. Now, I just can't put him any higher because he's a sophomore. And he's still got a lot to prove for me. Number 7, I got Will Shipley. Same reason as Kavarian Barnes. He doesn't play anyone good. I'm just going to keep it honest, keep it real. Clemson doesn't play a single good team this entire season. And you know what? Georgia might not play a good team either in some people's eyes. Some people's eyes, Tennessee and Ole Miss aren't a good team. I think Tennessee and Ole Miss are both great teams. So I just have a real problem. Clemson's hardest game this year, in my opinion, is against Notre Dame or North Carolina. And Florida State will be unranked by week 3. They're going to get blown out by LSU. And then once they lose to Clemson, they're probably going to be unranked. Starting the year 2-2. FSU is not a good team either. Clemson doesn't really play anyone good, so I can't put him much higher. Alright, let's move on to the old receivers and tight ends. Number 1, obvious for receivers, and we hear the same thing when we get to tight ends. Marvin Harrison, 3rd best player in the country. 2nd, arguably. Him and Brock are just a toss-up. I mean, you say Harrison, I'm fine. You say Bowers, I'm fine. Doesn't matter. 2 of the best players in the country. Marvin Harrison needs to get the ball more. Ryan Day needs to throw him the ball more and just be a smart coach, because a lot of times he's not very smart, so yeah. Next up, we have Roe Madunze. And last year, Mr. Mr. Adunze, he um he had about 75 receptions for about 1,000 yards and 7 TDs. I think that's going to be a lot. The 7 TDs will definitely be a lot more this year. And I think he might get a lot more than 75 receiving yards. No, it's not yards, sorry. Oh my god. 75 catches. He might pass 100. They do have a very hard schedule. Washington does, but I think they can pull some upsets, work some magic. Yeah. And earlier I saw they ranked Washington Stadium #1 overall for like the loudest ones. Yeah, that's bogus, dude. It's real bogus. Tennessee, I never been. I'm going this year, but I heard Tennessee's really loud. Alabama's loud. Never been to that one either, but hear it on TV. And Sanford Stadium literally set a record. The Georgia Stadium, they set a record for the loudest college football game ever, and they weren't even on. It was a top 10 list. They weren't even on it. I mean, it was one of the worst lists I think I've ever seen. So whoever came out with it is just probably a Washington fan. So yeah, just getting a little sidetracked there. Next up, we got Antoine Wells Jr. or Juice Wells. Everyone calls him Juice, but his name is not Juice. So whatever. He had 70 receptions for about 1,000 yards and 6 TDs. So very similar stats to Rowe, but he has to play Georgia defense, so it's not going to be good for him. But I think he'll have a good year as well. He played great in the Tennessee game last year, but I think he will once again have another great season. I don't know. I don't know if we will see a huge jump, but I think he'll have a little jump there. Next up on this list, we have Xavier Worthy. He had 60 receptions for about 800 yards and 9 touchdowns for the Longhorns. He'll have a lot more this year, a lot, and in every category really. He just definitely will. Texas will be better than they were last year. Do I think they'll make New Year's 6? No. But I still think they'll be a good team. I dropped my bowl ranking, or my bowl predictions. That took me like 7 hours to make, and I'm not trying to make a video with it, so because I would take another hour or two to, get it right and edit it and everything. I got all the script writing and stuff, but I mean, that was not fun at all. With all these conference tie-ins and everything, and they all get changed every year. And it's just not ideal. So, next up, we have Malik Neighbors of LSU. He had 72 catches for 1,000 yards and 3 touchdowns. He'll definitely have more than 3 touchdowns this year. I think it's just because they run the ball a lot when they get onto the goal line. But yeah, Neighbors, he'll have a better year this year, for sure. Next up, we have Dominic Lovett. He transferred from Missouri. And at Mizzou, he had 56 catches for about 900 yards and 3 scores. I think he'll definitely be a lot more, especially being in that Georgia offense. I think Georgia's weakest position this year is the running backs. which I don't know the last time anyone would have said that. Probably before I was even alive, because I mean, 11, 12, 13, 14, you got Gurley, then you got Chubb and Michelle, till 18, then 19, you got Holyfield Swift, and then 21, 20, 20, 21, 22, you have Cook and Zeus, and then last year you got Kenny Mack. So I can't remember last time I thought that, but probably never. But yeah, I was born in '08, but yeah, got Crowell, Isaiah Crowell, 2010, 2011 as well. So I mean, Georgia running backs are not gonna be that great this year. But next up we have Emeka Ibuka, the Ohio State receiver. He had 75 catches for about 2K yards and 10 tutties. It'll be more this year. Probably about the same this year. Played great against Georgia in Peach Bowl, but it'll probably be about the same. Yeah. Next up, we have Mr. Barack Bowers. And last season he had 63 catches for 920 for about 1,948, about 1,000 yards, 7 TDs, and he was great running as well. They had this one play against Kent State, the first play of the game. I'm at the game. I got some friends with me. And they handed it off to him. He's right around the edge. He's gone, and I'm like, all right, yep, setting the tone. Look at that. It's already over. Should call the game now. And then we proceed to almost lose. Not almost lose, but slugfest. We only won by 17. But yeah, Brock Bowers. That one's like Marvin Harrison. Don't need to do much explaining there. Next up, though, I don't even know how to say his first name. Orandi Gadsden from Syracuse. Similar stats to Bowers: 60 receptions, 1,000 yards, 6 tutties. He is such an underrated tight end. I mean, he really, if you think about it, I think he had better stats than Brock Bowers. Yeah, he's missing 1 TD, but receiving stats wise, I think last year he had a better year than Brock Bowers. And no one talks about this dude. I mean, it's crazy. No one even talks about him. Probably because he's on Syracuse, but I mean, he's a great player. So, yeah. Next up, we have Eric All. Eric All got injured last season for Iowa, but I think this year he'll be back and much better. He transferred from Michigan a couple years back, but he had an injury and just not what you want to see. 2021 he had a great year. But I mean, he'll be back this year and he'll be better. He played in only 2 games last year, so that one's a gamble for me, a gamble pick, because I like him, but he could disappoint. I really hope he doesn't, but he could. Next up, we have Seydou Traoré. I'm sorry, I'm messing up these names. It's just tight ends. Apparently, we all these tight ends not having easy to pronounce names, but this guy had 50 catches for about 700 yards and 4 touchdowns last year for MSU. He'll have a better year this year. I think he'll have about 70 catches for about 1,000, 250, and 6 TDs. 6 TDs, I'll say. Next up, we have Bryson Nesbitt. And there's only one reason that I put him on here. He had an okay year last year, but his quarterback's Drake May, so um I think he'll play much better. Next we have Colston Loveland. Um, he had a pretty mid season last year, but I think Michigan will start using their tight end more. They used him a lot in the TCU game. He had 4 receptions for about 40 yards in that TCU game, so yeah. I'm going to try to speed it up. It's taking a little longer than I expected. We got Cade Stover. He about 40 catches for 400 yards and 5 TDs. I think it'll be about the same for him this year. Alrighty, next up we have defenses and O-lines. It's going to be probably about 10 seconds each because there's not much to say. Not much to say about 1 and 2 for either of these. 2 of the best in the country. Georgia best O-line, Georgia best defense. Michigan second best O-line, second best defense. I mean, not much more you can say there. Oregon State O-line, I think it'll be great this year. But yeah. Next up, Texas O-line. It's always Texas. Texas will always have a good offensive line. Same with LSU, FSU, and Kansas State. So, moving on to defense. Defense. Georgia, self-explanatory. Number 1. They've been 1 since probably 2018. 2020 they were alright. I mean, probably not number 1. So, then Michigan, then Bama. Bama and Penn State. People are sleeping on that. I mean, obviously no one sleeps on Alabama, but the Penn State defense will be really good this year. Same with LSU. Missouri will actually surprise a lot of people this year. Their defense will be good. They gave Georgia a lot of problems last year in that game. In that infamous, not great game between those two teams. Especially for me because I'm a Georgia fan. But yeah. In Iowa has to have a good defense because their offense scores about 4 points a game. So yeah. Hopefully you all enjoyed. And like, subscribe. Have a good night, y'all. Peace.